Hello everyone and welcome to my beginner's guide on the factory system on the Contention DCS server. This is a bit of an add-on to the previous CTLD system in that this is something else that helicopters can do to move around logistics, and today I'll be going through what factories are, how you can repair them, why you should attack them, as these are a really important part of the campaign that is often overlooked. So let's jump in. So first off then, what are factories on Contention and what do they actually do? Well, factories are small, destroyable and capturable places that are dotted randomly around the map. This changes every new campaign but will persist for throughout a given campaign. And you can find them on the map. On the F10 map they will be the small red or blue circles, or white if they're currently captured. Notably, they don't have the outer ring that the FARPs and airfields do, and they are not needed to be captured in order to win the campaign, but they will help you a long way in your team managing to win a campaign. Now, their role is to produce resources, and these can produce a huge amount of resources. I'll be going through how team resources work in a more detailed guide a little bit later, but for now we just need to know that these are the resources that are used to do all sorts of things, especially laying down CTLD troops as covered in the last video, and a huge amount of these resources are going to be coming from your factories. Now, these do occasionally get tweaked, but at the time of writing, a full factory produces 500 resources every 2-minute tick. That is 15,000 resources an hour. That is 10 times as much as a captured CP would be granting you, and is a staggeringly huge amount that is really going to boost your team, especially when you consider that both teams start with 10 factories on the map, for a total of 150,000 team resources per hour coming in, and you can take those away from the enemy and you can capture them for yourself. If a team owned all 20 factories, they would get 300,000 resources per hour. Now, unlike CPs, factories do essentially have a HP system built in, where they've got a certain number of buildings deployed, and this is shown on the map. Currently there is a maximum of 18 buildings that can be built at each factory. Each one is represented by some structure on the map. These can be the large actual factory buildings, these can be small tents, all of them do contribute towards this maximum of 18. Now, importantly, your team only gets resources based on the fractional health of the factory. So the numbers that I quoted before, that is if you have 18 out of 18 buildings in that given factory. If you've got half of that number, so you've got 9 out of 18, you'll be getting half the resources in. If you just have a single building still alive in a factory, it does still count as yours, but you will only be getting 1/18 of that resource tick, so that's about 27 resources per tick. That's about half of what a CP would give you, and so very little. And this really means two things. It's really important for you to be attacking enemy factories, as even doing a small amount of damage to them can really deplete them of their resources, and at the same time it is really important that you help repair and defend your own factories to keep your resources ticking in. Now, the first part of that is pretty straightforward. Attacking enemy factories, you just need to bomb them or hit them with some other kind of explosive. Even the big factory buildings don't take a huge amount to take down. I've taken them down with this single 500-pound bomb before. And the tents and so on are nice soft targets, very easy to take out. All of these buildings are created equal, so it doesn't matter whether you're taking out a tent or a factory, it does take away from the factory's HP. Do bear in mind the factories do come with some light defences around them, and because they are such important objectives, you can also expect the enemy to have reinforced them, so do keep an eye out for the hidden IR SAMs or SAM sites dotted around assisting the factories. Now, the good news is you do get awarded directly for attacking these. For each factory building that you destroy, you get 2 credit points. And of course you get happy knowledge that you are helping your team pursue victory in the campaign. Now, if you do manage to reduce the number of buildings and ground units in a factory circle down to 0, that factory will then become neutralised, and neither side will hold it, and it will get a little white circle on the map. And very, very similar to neutralised FARPs and air bases, all you need to do to capture this is have a single ground unit in there. This can either be driven in using the combined arms, or it can be dropped off with any of the units that have the ability to drop off ground units. Those are covered in the CTLD tutorial that I did previously. Whichever team puts a ground unit in there first will then gain control of the factory, it will flip over to your team's colour, and then you can start reinforcing it and repairing it. As for how to actually repair the buildings within a factory, this can technically be done by all airframes that are capable of doing CTLD, that is all of your helicopters, your trainers and your warbirds, but trainers and warbirds will have a harder time managing to land within the factory zone, so it's best done with helicopters. The process will be very familiar to any of you who have done CTLD or watched my video on that on the past, just using a slightly different set of menu options. So you need to pick up factory supplies to begin with. To do this you need to be landed either at a friendly FARP or airfield, and within the shaded central circle of that airfield marker on the map. You can then go to your comms menu, F10, then F2 Zone Management, F4 Factories, then F3 Load Factory Supplies. You will get a message in the top right corner confirming that these are on board. One thing to note is that you can absolutely still take the vehicle crates and the infantry troops from CTLD, so you can have all three of these different types of things loaded at the same time, that is no problem. You then need to fly over to the factory and land within its little coloured shaded circle on the F10 map. Once you're within that, you can then open up your comms menu again, go F10 Other, F2 Zone Management, F4 Factories, and now F4 Deliver Factory Supplies. You will then again get a confirmation message in the top right, and immediately the new buildings will respawn to replace the destroyed ones. Now, not all airframes are created equal when it comes to this. The Huey and the HIP are particularly good at doing these factory supply drops. Each HIP or Huey can carry 6 factory supplies in one, repairing 6 buildings, whereas your other airframes can only take 3 per drop. This means a single HIP or Huey can completely repair a factory from 0 health all the way to 18 in just 3 runs. It is going to take a Hind 6 runs in order to do the same thing. And just like CTLD, you can absolutely be coordinating with teams to do this. I'd recommend referencing the factory number if you are coordinating while doing this. And to make sure that you don't double deliver onto the same factory, make sure you're doing the best for your team. But a group of helicopters can very quickly reinforce a factory that they have captured. Now again, you are directly rewarded for this, not only in helping your team towards getting more resources, but for every supply that you deliver, you get a credit. And so that means the HIP and the Huey can get up to 6 credits per run in delivering these. Your other airframes can get 3 credits per run, but it's still a really, really efficient way of getting a huge amount of credits if you want to, while again, feeling the benefits of helping your team. Our final little note, I do just want to say these factories are going to be targets for the enemy, so you do want to make an effort defending them, whatever role you are in. So these are very valuable sites to put some kind of air defense network near, particularly if you've got a couple of factories near each other. Having a SAM site near there to discourage enemy attacks is really, really useful. And if you're flying around doing cap rolls, do pay attention to where your friendly factories are, because those are where a lot of enemies are going to be heading towards. They're a little softer target than FARPs and airfields, but do give them a lot of credits and a lot of advantage for their team, so they're well worth keeping an eye on, well worth defending, even if they aren't necessarily needed to win the campaign. So all in all, that is factories on the Contention's DCS server. If you have any questions, please do leave them down below. I am planning a huge number more of these videos to cover all the different systems. Due to feedback, I will also be doing some general kind of walkthroughs for people's first sessions on the server, or first sessions in DCS in general. Those will be coming. I am planning those, just a matter of getting everything done, getting the footage and so on. Till then, thank you all for watching, and I hope to catch you in a future video. Remember to be kind to yourselves and everyone else. Cheers.